Welcome to the Wrestling Without Context podcast. Join me, Sean, a lifelong wrestling fan, as I take my friend Brian,
That's me.
a complete unknown to the world of sports entertainment, on a thrilling journey into the world of professional wrestling. With no prior knowledge or context, Brian experiences the magic, drama, and unforgettable moments of wrestling for the first time. Join them as they navigate through the world of larger-than-life characters, jaw-dropping feats, and stories that make wrestling an unforgettable experience. Hello to everyone that's joining us for the Wrestling Without Context podcast. As I said, my name is Sean. I'm here with my co-host, Brian.
Hello.
And for those of us that are joining us for the first time, the way the show works is prior to recording our episode, Brian and I watch a match that Brian has never seen before. And then we also
pretty much every match.
Thank you for interrupting me.
Sorry.
Yeah, that's great. This is only the third episode. We're still working out the kinks. So going back, we watch a match Brian has never seen before, and then we also watch something what I'll call wrestling adjacent, a segment, a promo, reality TV, whatever tickles our fancy. If we have a fancy, it will be tickled. Well, then hit record, and Brian that's tweaking, Brian. We'll then hit record, and Brian will give us his wonderful thoughts about what we just watched. Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 3. For those of you that have made it past episode 1 and 2, thank you very much. We are now in episode 3. Last week, we watched Ring of Honor's The Era of Honor Begins. Brian, going back, is what we watched, is that something you've been thinking about as much as WrestleMania 2000? It's been sticking in your brain?
Like, have I been ruminating on the last
Yes.
match that we watched over this past week?
Yes, 2 weeks.
2 weeks. Yeah, it's been marinated in the back of my brain. Because there's an American Dragon in it. That's why.
So no, which match have you liked more so far, WrestleMania 2000 or that match? If you had to choose, not that anything's bad.
Ooh, which one did I like better? I would say I liked the TLC match just a little bit better because it was like spectacle, you know what I mean? But the other one that we watched, it was a 3-person match. I don't remember what it's called.
So it didn't stick with you. Finally, I got to the bottom of it.
Yeah, it didn't stick with me. But that one was more physical. Like yes. they were I think better athletes is what was going on that second.
All right, and then what's been going on in the world of Brian? Last time we spoke, we talked about the Pit. Is there anything else? Are you still keeping up with the Pit?
The Pit is over. It ended fantastically. So that was wonderful, but I haven't picked up another show to take its place yet. So if anybody has any suggestions, throw it out. I need some good TV to start watching.
Yes, we are on YouTube and Twitter, so if you want to drop a comment, see what Brian should be watching. Because again, we talked about it, people are talking about the Pit. I'm now finding out that there's like Bryan Cranston's daughter is in it. There's like she's amazing.
She's so good in it.
Yeah, like again, the conversation around Nepo babies and just.
But like nobody knew it was her, right? Like,
well, they know.
She is there fully on her merit, in my opinion, because there was no weak actor in that whole show. Like everybody was doing fantastic, and it was crazy because most of them were no names, right? Like Noah Wyle was the only, I think, big name showing up in this show, and everyone else was just killing it.
So, in things that I'm seeing online, it seems like they're going to have to sort of recast the show heading into season 2. Some characters may be going. Some characters
may be some, yeah, but the majority I think are sticking around. They're just going to have different roles then because like so much time has passed between this season and the next season. So maybe the med students will now be like interns or something, and they'll have specialized roles or something like that.
Yeah, but, like House Scrubs
we don't have to wait like 3 years for it. The next season is supposed to come out in January.
Yeah, I'm hoping we finally get a point in TV shows where we're like, again, a show I don't watch, but hear about House of Dragons, where it's like 2-3 years in between shows, or like what Stranger Things is going through now, where they're practically adults right now. But I'm like, I don't. That season ended with a very big cliffhanger.
Right. Yep.
So no. What have I been watching? Going back to wrestling, as we are talking right now, WrestleMania, the current WrestleMania is going on right now.
There's a WrestleMania happening right now?
Yes, it is. It is happening on 2 nights. It is happening as we speak. They started around 6:30. And
what number is it?
41.
41? There's been 41 WrestleManias?
Yes, it started in 1985.
That was before I was born.
Well, the match that we'll eventually get into was before I was born as well.
Amazing.
So no, Wrestle Dynasty happened, and this is something I wanted to get your opinion on, Brian. So Wrestle Dynasty, AEW's pay-per-view, it had an hour pre-show, and then it was about 4 hours of wrestling, and that is a long time. Like, I'll admit,
Too much.
yeah, we already got your opinion before I get to the question. Just gonna cut this segment out. No, so I couldn't watch it day of, so I watched it in pieces, and it was a very good show. I'm enjoying everything that Tony Storm does. Tony Storm is one of my favorites right now. But then going into WrestleMania week, so Brian, the way WWE has their schedule set up is Monday Night Raw, their 2 to 3 hour show on Netflix. Okay. Tuesday is another show called NXT. That's another 2 hours. I don't know if they had anything on Wednesday. They probably did. But like, there's like wrestling all week. And then
can Wednesday be called a Wrestle Hump Day?
Yeah.
Humpamania.
Humpamania. That's a different kind of movie. So now I'm off track. So there's probably So going to today, there was a 3-hour NXT pay-per-view. There's a 1-hour pre-show for WrestleMania. WrestleMania is going to be 4 hours. Then there's going to be night 2, where there's going to be another hour and another 4 hours of pay-per-view. So basically 8 hours total. And then the comedian, I don't know his full name, but he runs the podcast, Kill Tony, is going to have like a WWE roast after WrestleMania in Las Vegas. So that's like almost literally 24 hours of content in a full week. And at what point does someone go, I can't watch all of it? Like I told you 4-hour pay-per-view, and you're like, nope, not for me. Because like we talked about that last week, where it's like, well, you watch the Pit, I watch 1-hour-and-20 wrestling shows, but we're so divided on like how we are supposed to divvy up our time, because I have no time, so I have to literally prioritize what I'm going to watch. But does that break into then I don't want to watch something new because I just don't have the energy or the time? Like, like where are you in your life on that? Like when it comes to getting something new?
I usually don't start something new until the thing that I'm currently watching is over. So like, I every once in a while there maybe be like 2 shows that are airing at the same time. I could probably do that. But like, you give me like 4 hours of new content, like that's a lot. That's a lot. And then you have to keep it all straight in your head. That's a lot too.
I have a tendency to not finish anything. My wife and I sat on the last season. She watched it without me because she stopped waiting, but like got to the last season of The Good Place, just didn't watch it for like 2 years. I still haven't seen the last episode of Game of Thrones. I got all that way. I still haven't seen the last episode of Sons of Anarchy. Like, it's very...
You got a thing with finales. You don't want to say goodbye to your characters.
Exactly. I devote all this time, and then I just never finish. Anticlimactic. But no, like I think about this too. I put on, if you remember Brian from Chicago, Q101. Like, there was 4 consecutive songs I listened to while I was out on deployment yesterday, and I didn't know anything, and I was like, I'm just not identifying with the music, or do I just not have time to get into anything? Like, there's only, like they say, there's only so much room in your brain, or is there only so much that it's like, all right, I already got what I need to listen to?
Sean, you are getting old now. You're like, I don't understand these young people's music anymore. Like, this isn't rock and roll.
Yeah, I completely
the Beatles? No, thank you.
The worst is when they're like, we're as far from Nirvana as we were from the Beatles in the 90s. Like, it's like those kind of analogies that it's like, oh God. Like, someone said if we were going to make a Dazed and Confused movie now, it would be children born in the 90s.
We're closer to 2050 than we are the 1990s, my dude.
Yeah, I know. It's just so, like, we're all getting oh my God, we're getting old.
Embrace it. Embrace it.
Well, that's the thing. It's like, at what point do you sort of shut yourself off? It's like, okay, never.
That's when you become cynical, and you just gotta like.
But that's the thing. I'm not cynical. I don't think anything is bad. I just don't necessarily
It's just not your thing right now.
Like, when So let's talk about Chapel Roan. We haven't talked about wrestling at all yet. Uh, Chapel Roan, I saw she was headlining Lollapalooza last year, and then I saw like a huge crowd of people. I'm like, who is this person?
Uh-huh.
You know what? It's actually funny. We actually are talking about wrestling because she hired bodybuilders and they were lifting weights during her Lollapalooza set, and she was dressed in a luchador mask and a wrestling outfit.
Amazing.
Yes, and now Chapel Roan was like everywhere, and it's the same thing with like Sabrina Carpenter. It's like, oh, it's how I'm not on TikTok, but I see TikToks like, oh, it's that TikTok song.
It's about espresso. No.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
like I just I just
Gotta
see people.
you shake your espresso.
Yes, that's exactly what she's talking about, Brian.
That's a Dunkin'. She did a Dunkin' commercial.
I don't watch TV. Again, I don't have time. I only have professional wrestling and video games.
That is it. That's all you can do. That's all you can handle.
Exactly. And my son and my career. That's all I can handle right now. All right.
Well, thank you for making time for me.
Yes, exactly. And a podcast that I'm just trying to lift off the ground, put it in flight, as you will, with our wonderful pilot, Brian. Hey, we made it through the entire opening without making one crash joke.
Woo!
Yeah, exactly. All right, so let's get into what we watched this week. So for this week, we said we were going to watch something WrestleMania related. So for this week, I showed Brian WrestleMania 3. Now, again, we didn't watch...
What year was this? What year was WrestleMania 3?
I'll tell you in a moment, Brian.
Okay, cool. I'm jumping the gun.
You're so excited. All those Skittles you probably had before the show and the Mountain Dew I see you drinking too.
Yum, 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 yum.
So we did not watch the entire show. We watched two matches, and if any you know anything about WrestleMania 3, you'll know which two matches. We watched Ricky the Dragon Steamboat versus Macho Man Randy Savage for the Intercontinental Championship. And then we also watched Hulk Hogan versus Andre the Giant in the main event for the World Wrestling Federation Championship. So, Brian, just to cure your curiosity, this match happened on March 29th, 1987 at the Pontiac Silverdome in Pontiac, Michigan. That was where the Detroit Lions were playing if you watched football, Brian.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So they said this multiple times throughout the match, but it has been claimed that there were 91,173 people in that building watching the show. Now, again, I kind of hinted at this last week. What that number actually means or how they count that number, because that's WWF putting that out there. There could be like 85,000 people in there, but they're counting the ring crew, they're counting the vendor, they're counting literally everybody
every person there,
not necessarily how many tickets they sold. So, and then I guess at some point someone did like took the amount of seats and then sort of did like backtracked how many seats they could actually fill, and people feel that the number is actually closer to 78,000.
Okay.
That were actually there. But at that time, this was the large for 90,000. That was the largest sporting event that had ever been conducted within the United States, until it was broken by a future WrestleMania at the Cowboy Stadium at AT&T Stadium in one of the WrestleMania 30s.
Okay.
All right, so Brian, the first match we watched was Macho Man Randy Savage and Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. We started with an excellent promo from Macho Man, we actually started with a promo package which showed the Macho Man crushing the larynx of Ricky the Dragon Steamboat
with the ring bell.
Yes, the ring bell came back and it was used as a weapon, just as we talked about in episode 1.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
that should be illegal.
It was illegal. It was a dastardly deed by that heinous man, Macho Man Randy Savage.
So Randy Savage was the bad guy.
Yes, you're learning. Very good, Brian.
Because he was evil.
Yeah, I know. So Macho Man with his manager, Miss Elizabeth, the wonderful Miss Elizabeth.
I was wondering. They kept saying Miss Elizabeth, and I was just like, "Who is this lady? Like, what is she? Who is she to him?"
That's technically his wife in real life, but
okay.
In the company, so Macho Man comes into the company. He's looking for a manager, and he had like all these high-priced famous managers. I know you don't know who these people are, but like Bobby the Brain Heenan. Who else? Classy Freddie Blassie, and Macho Man's like going to pick someone. He's like, you know what? I'm going to pick this wonderful woman, Miss Elizabeth. And they introduce Miss Elizabeth, and no one knows anything. And she's basically like the silent type, but it's just a way for him to like sort of micromanage somebody. Because like, as you can see in this match, like he moves her into place. He tells her where to stand. She holds the ropes open and stuff like that. But no, she's definitely... I hate to say it, but like she's kind of eye candy at this point.
Okay.
Uh,
Well, apparently someone was kidnapping her
yeah,
at,
so
at times.
that
The
was great.
animal, it reminded me of like a King Kong movie or something,
Yes,
where like he was
that
like.
is that is exactly what was going on. So Macho Man has Miss Elizabeth. Ricky the Dragon Steamboat has his friend George the Animal Steel, who is an older wrestler at this time, but they don't really explain who he is when they show you that video package. So Brian was very confused about why, because they just jump cut to Miss Elizabeth being taken out of the building.
I was just like, kidnapping?
Yeah. So the angle is that Ricky and Macho Man are fighting. George comes out and sees Miss Elizabeth and becomes enamored with her in like a King Kong style fashion.
Does he not speak? Does George the Animal not speak?
He's actually a very well spoken man, but not his character. He's a big, hairy, green tongued.
Green tongue. I saw the green tongue, and I didn't know what was happening with that.
Yeah. So
while we were Skittles.
Finding out. Because Brian's curiosity knows no bounds, I actually did much more research than I did in the last episode. George the Animal Steel had a green tongue, which he had these like special kind of mints that he would use to turn his tongue green, just to make him look a little crazier. And then he would also be known for eating the turnbuckle pad and spitting it out. He didn't do it in this match, but no, yeah, he's kind of like the little like Frankenstein, King Kong style monster, like the lovable monster.
Yeah.
So Macho Man comes out. Macho Man has his little promo, has his nice sequin robe.
Yeah, for a name like Macho Man, dude is in this feathered robe. He's got these little like pink panties on with Macho Man on the butt. It like reminds me of like when you see those tight leather pants on Leslie Knope in Parks and Rec. It says Nympho on the butt. It's just like, what is this Macho Man over here?
I maintain that Macho Man not necessarily was ruined, but gave a certain connotation by the village people, and so no, he's macho. He's got the nice long hair, even though he's balding. The beard, he's extravagant. He's big. He's big. He's bulky.
He's burly.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you wish those are actually not underwear, like I would call them as a child. Those were his wrestling tights.
His wrestling tights.
His little Speedo. So Macho Man comes up. So let's talk about how they get to the ring. What did you think about the ring carts driving them out?
I thought those are cool. I've driven a cart like that before. I used to work at Menards. Do you know Menards?
Yes, I do. I save big money there.
Say big money, but yeah. I don't want a copyright infringement. But yeah, I used to drive one of those carts in the lumberyard. It was awesome.
Yeah, so we'll get to it with Andre's match, but as you could tell that the entrance was so far from the ring that they knew that they were going to have to cut down on time. So like, what if we just drove them to the ring? So no, Macho Man comes out, and then we get to see like the big sprawling atmosphere that they're all in. It
was kind of crazy. I did not expect that many people to be at like this kind of match. Like it blew my mind almost.
Yes. So we watched the first WrestleMania, then we watched Ring of Honor, and then now we're going to this where it's just a million screaming rabid fans.
Yeah, we went from a match in a high school gym to this thing.
Yeah, the sports stadium.
Crazy.
So Macho Man gets in the ring, and then we cut to Ricky the Dragon Steamboat, who's doing karate moves in the back area. Like
amazing.
With Mean Gene Okerlund, the great Mean Gene, who's one of the better backstage interviewers that WWE, probably the best one they've ever had. He then has his little. They both have like Macho Man had History Beckons the Macho Man. He had that nice little line. Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. He's like the hours, the minutes. We have reached our moment. Like they're just very, very precise in trying to get their gravelly voices out. So then Ricky the Dragon comes out in the version we watched. WWE cut it out, but. Do you know the song that the Chicago Bulls come out to? The dun 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 dun.
Yeah.
So Ricky the Dragon used to come out to that song. So that's what he should. So he should have been coming out to that song. So him and George the Animal Steel's like looking around like a caged monkey.
He was, yeah. And these names, man, Ricky the Dragon Steamboat, more like Ricky the Dragon Dreamboat. Dude.
Yeah, he's a very pretty man. And his nice white tights.
Nice white tights.
the headband, all that fun stuff. So Ricky and Macho get in the ring, and then they proceed to just go 100 miles an hour for
Yeah.
the entire. Like it was pin after pin after pin, and I was getting towards the end of the match, not to get too far, but like that ref was he was sweating worse than the wrestlers were because he kept having to jump back and forth, and like when he gets knocked down at the end, I'm pretty sure he's like, "Oh God, thank God, we're so close to being finished with this freaking thing." So before we talk a little bit about the match, I want to talk a little bit about the announcers. So the people that are announcing the not the ring announcers, the commentators, that's what they're called. We had Gorilla Monsoon and we had Jesse the Body Ventura. You know who Jesse Ventura is?
The name rings a bell. I don't know who he is though.
Have you seen Predator?
The movie? Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, he's the dude with the chain gun that gets shot through the chest.
Oh, okay.
Yes. So what did you think of their commentating style?
Dude, I wrote it down. Like, he hates the ref. He hates the ref on Jesse Ventura. Jesse Ventura hates the ref on this. And the gorilla, what is his name?
It's Gorilla Monsoon.
Gorilla Monsoon. He was just like, hey, it's like, he's doing fine. He's doing a fine job.
Exactly. It's like, oh, that ref is counting slow.
He's like, no, he's not.
He is not. Something that Gorilla does say that I feel is very, not dated, but just a sign of the times, is when someone gets attacked from behind, he has a tendency to go Pearl Harbor job.
Oh God!
Yeah, I was hoping you would catch it. I couldn't see it.
I didn't. What I did catch a lot, I don't know who was saying it, but they kept saying right between the eyes, and it happened. It happened when, who was it? Macho. He like did a double like thigh slap on the side of the dragon's face, and the announcer was like, "Oh, right between the eyes." I was like, that couldn't be farther from the truth.
Hey, who are you going to believe? Your own eyes or the people telling you what's going on?
Exactly.
It's the 80s. We still believed in our color commentating.
Oh, man.
There was a lot of Macho Man jumps out of the ring a lot, which I like. He basically arm drags him. He drags him up. There was a lot of throat punching in this one. Like he dropped the knee, which I saw you pop for.
Yeah, it was like a double knee to the throat. He just jumped up and like pile drived with his knees.
Yeah, like he tried to pin him, and then all of a sudden he jumps up and he gets some height on that knee, and just and then
what's his foot on the rope thing?
So if your foot is under the rope or on the rope, it doesn't
count.
Yeah, it's like boxing. If you're in the ropes, like nothing, you get a 5 count, or it's not supposed to count. So like what Brian was referring to at the towards the end of the match, Ricky does some kind of a move, and then Macho is so close to the ropes and he literally just lifts up his leg. So like that's like a common, they call it a spot in wrestling, where if someone's too close to the rope and it's the end of the match, I'm like, oh, if they're gonna, like, they'll have their eyes closed and they'll just reach out and grab it, or they'll put their foot on it, it'll stop the match real quick. So there was a question you had, I don't think we were recording at the time you asked it, but you once asked me, it's like, do they choreograph this? Like, do they know what they're going to do when they come out there? So there is a famous story that Ricky tells
about this match.
Yes, Macho, it was very particular, and they had that entire match written out on paper, every single move, and he said it was like 50 some odd pages. So it's like, I throw you into the rope, and he said they will go over it ad nauseum, and it just annoyed the crap out of them.
So they would like not just have it choreographed, but also rehearse it then, like not knowing what is next, but kind of just being like,
they would talk.
I do this, then you do this, then I do this, and
they would talk it out constantly, because they'd be on the road together, and they'd just be like, all right, let's do this. Then he's like, they would change it and stuff like that. So they go back and forth. Macho Man starts to get the upper hand, and then at one point he throws Ricky over the timekeeper, and he seemingly makes it all the way onto the floor.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh. And then George picks him up, and then unfortunately Ricky gets some very bad dirt on the back of his white tights, which becomes very, it looks like he had a little accident, but like
just a little bit.
That floor looked like it had not, like someone had just come from the beach with the amount of dirt that ended up at Ricky dragged.
Was this match happened before the other match then?
Yes. So I debated, and we'll talk about whether to show you Hogan in that match first or show you this match first. But I was like, we'll show it. Like this match happened, I want to say 2 matches before. So like, I think there's another match in between, maybe
Gotcha.
2 matches, and then Hulk Hogan.
I saw a suplex for the first time.
Yes, there was some very good suplexes. I will say everything in this match looked very natural. Like it didn't look choreographed. Like, and I think this is like where like we'll watch some more modern stuff where it's like everything seems choreographed. Everything like that doesn't seem like this seemed like it could have been like obviously a staged fight, but enough of a real fight where it's like things were not being done quote unquote perfectly.
Right. Yeah, it was a great suplex. It's the first time I like had the term connected to the move, because like everyone just talks about suplex. I was like, I don't know what it is. The only reference I had was playing Final Fantasy VI, where this character Sabin suplexes a freight train. Like that's the only thing that I knew about.
I do,
but this was an actual a suplex. That okay, I know what it is now.
Yes, finally, I have suplex.
I have context. You don't pick up a train and do it. It's a person.
Yeah, I know. Choo choo. Were there any other moves that you liked in this? Something I will say, Macho was one of the few, not the wrestlers of his size. Macho is so nimble for a man of his size. Like he moves really well. He's really good on his feet, and he's also coming off the top rope a lot.
Yeah, he was climbing on that top rope quite a bit.
And then like jumping down, and I feel so bad for his knees and his hips and stuff like that because he's just jumping down to the floor.
There was like a couple times. Oh, the ref was like out. He was out to get the dragon, where he's like, I'm just gonna put his neck on the rope and just like yank on it. I was like, holy cow.
Yeah. Speaking of the ref again, something I saw you pop for towards the end of the match when the ref took a bump.
Dude went down.
Yeah, he was like flailing his arms and like falls. I'm like, oh my, and then he's just completely out.
So it doesn't count if the ref doesn't count the 3 count. Yeah,
see, so you're like Jesse the Body Ventura. You Macho Man should have won that match. 1, 2, 3.
No. I was rooting for the Dragon, man. I was rooting for the Steamboat.
Yeah, so Macho Man then goes for the ring bell. He's got to crush the larynx again, and then George the Animal Steel steals it away. I thought
a little interference there. I can see how that shouldn't have happened.
Yeah, but Macho Man was going to cheat anyway, so he's preventing.
That's true.
I thought there was going to be a little bit more interaction between Miss Elizabeth and George the Animal Steel for the amount of things that they built up.
Yeah. I didn't even notice her during the whole match.
Yes. So she's like kind of wandering around. There was a point in the beginning where Macho Man sort of moves her to like another side of the ring, which again, he was known for. Macho Man loses the ring bell and he gets tossed off. And then Ricky the Dragon Steamboat rolls him up for a 1, 2, 3. Like no big finishing move. It was just, oh my God.
It was just it. Yeah.
It was a very logical ending. We're both exhausted. So overall, what did you think of the match?
I liked it. I thought this one was great. I really liked this one.
All right. So moving on, we then watched the main event of the show, Hulk Hogan versus Andre. So had you recognized Andre from anything before? Did you know Andre before we watched it?
Yeah. So like, I mean, Andre the Giant, he's just like pop culture knowledge, right? But I had seen him in Princess Bride.
Yes, that's where I also saw him first.
That's where I know him from. Not from WWE, but from Princess Bride.
Oh, so this is the same year. So this is right before he made Princess Bride. So it first starts off with Bobby the Brain Heenan and Andre. Andre in his very gruff French accent says he's going to beat him, and then Bobby the Brain Heenan.
Andre is just like, yeah, I'm going to beat him. It's going to be okay. Like I'm gonna win this match. And then his manager's like, I could feel it.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, over the top. You are not matching that energy, my dude.
Yeah. So like that's the '80s promo of just seeming like you're all up in the cocaine, just going, yeah, we're ready to go.
Yeah, I wrote down a couple times, are these guys doing whippets or something? Like, what's happening?
So that was Bobby the Brain Heenan. He's the head of the Heenan family, which now Andre is a part of. Bobby eventually takes over for Jesse with Gorilla. And while I
All
like
these managers, they feel like these 1950s like slicksters. You know what I mean?
What's funny is there was a manager in this particular WrestleMania named Slick.
Amazing. That's so good.
Yeah. So, but like they usually put people with managers like that, like the villain can't really speak, so he has a manager speak for him.
So Andre's a villain in this one?
Yes, so let's get to it. We then saw the video package where it shows that Andre and Hulk were best of friends.
Yeah.
But then for 3 years while Hogan is a champion, he never gives Andre an opportunity at that belt.
Yeah, that seems like Hulk should be the villain for. Come on, just give him an opportunity, man.
But excuse me, Jesse, as I will take the Gorilla Monsoon side of this argument. Andre never asked for an opportunity.
And then the one time he did, Hulk's like, no.
Well, he did. He joins forces with Bobby the Brain Heenan, who Hulk Hogan did not like, and then he rips Hogan's shirt and his cross off his body.
Yeah, that's right.
Exactly, and it was war from then on.
I'm on Team Andre on this match.
Yeah. I did like that part in the promo where it's like Roddy Piper's just like, "Are you gonna do the match, yes or no?" Without missing a beat. Hulk and his cocaine eyes just go, "Yeah."
Oh man.
So then we cut to Andre coming out, and they are giving Andre the business. They are throwing
throwing things at him. I was like, oh man, poor guy.
Yeah, I know, and he's just sort of taking it. They're hitting him in the head and stuff like that. So obviously the crowd does not like Andre. And like we talked about before with these cards, this is part of the reason Andre couldn't walk at this point in his career all that well.
Okay.
He can still move around, but like long distances, he's obviously not getting anywhere.
Sure.
Because
I mean, dude's a giant, and he's huge.
So I watched. There's a documentary on HBO about Andre.
Mm-hmm.
And if you watch some of his earlier footage, like in the 70s, Andre moved so well for a man of his size. He was a little bit smaller. Obviously, his biological issues force him to grow at an exponential rate, but then he eventually breaks his ankle in a match. Shoot. And then a person of his size, he has an appetite, he puts on more weight, he can't heal, he's not healing correctly, so it's sort of all downhill from there.
Okay.
So he's able to get in the ring, but you can sort of see him like he's always kind of next to the ropes to sort of prop himself up. Mm-hmm. And then we cut to the back where Hulk Hogan is posing up, seemingly working up a nice sweat with his wonderful tan and his bandana.
Dude put on some bronzer for this one. Like he was like 3 shades darker from the promo.
Yeah,
he went to Ibiza or something just to like hang out for a month.
Yeah, that some wrestlers now use like the bronzer and stuff like that, but that's like him inside a tanning booth, just getting that
nice cancer.
Exactly. But no, they call it the Hogan tan and stuff like that. It actually gets later in his career, it gets even darker.
Oh my gosh, that's uncomfortable.
Yeah, I know. But no, he's just screaming at the camera the entire promo. He's
got issues.
Yeah, he's not worried about the people inside the Silverdome. He's worried about everyone else. He kind of keeps going back and forth. I'm like, having trouble.
Like he's on something.
Yeah, I know, exactly. Well, he talks about I'd have a beer before the match, and then I'd take an Advil after, or he takes the Advil before and he takes an Advil after, and then he would have like 20 beers after the match.
Oh my gosh.
That and the steroids.
Yeah,
his 24-inch pythons, which Jesse the Body Ventura, when both wrestlers are coming out, seems to be incredibly inept.
He was saying all the measurements, like the calf measurements and the bicep measurements. I'm like, all right, dude.
He's 6'3" and he's got a neck. Yeah, just
he's
got
a neck of 17.
Yeah, I know. I was like, I don't know what that means. I'm sure.
Gotta be terrible finding dress shirts, man.
Exactly. Well, that was they eventually made a figure out of Andre in that sport coat that he's wearing in the Hogan promo. It's such like a great like little figure. I really wanted to buy it because it's it's him in like the patches on the elbows too. And he's got like
Yeah.
this, I think it's like a pink shirt and like the slacks and stuff like that.
Classic 80s.
Yeah, I know.
Miami Vice over here.
Exactly. And then like, you just gotta have to feel for Andre, like all the stories of like he didn't fit in airplane seats. God forbid, like you think of him fitting in a bathroom in a airplane now.
I can't even imagine.
Exactly. So the story behind this match is Hulk's been the champion, Andre's been out for a little bit, and Vince wants to put this big attraction match up. And but the according to Hulk Hogan, and Hulk Hogan likes to not rewrite, sensationalize history. No one knows if Andre's gonna actually let Hogan beat him. Like even if the match is predetermined, like Andre still hasn't said that he's gonna let him do it and stuff like that. And they wouldn't talk before the match. And so we talked about in the last match how they talked about everything before. Hulk says him and Andre discussed nothing about this match before. Like they had a basic idea what they want to do, but Andre's like, let's call it in the ring. Okay. So they get it. So Hulk gets in there. He rips off his shirt. He comes out to that amazing "I'm a Real American" song that he becomes known for, and then it's the stare down. Like this was just the '80s incarnate. This match, it was bigger, badder, stronger. Like
it was just crazy, is what it was.
Yeah, it was just action figures going at it, like Godzilla versus King Kong, basically. And like this is still considered like one of the biggest moments in professional wrestling. Like not necessarily the peak, but like this is like the start of the peak, where it's like Saturday morning cartoons and wrestling, like merchandise are flying off the shelves at high ratings, all this stuff. Yeah. So and then the bell rings.
Yeah.
And going from Macho Man and Ricky that are going 100 miles a minute, they don't even get out of the starting gate. They just stare for a moment. And then
Hulk's eyes just like flicker back and forth. It's like he's having a stroke or something. I don't know.
He's feeling the power of the Hulkamaniacs. So they have a little back and forth, and then Hogan tries to lift up. He tries to suplex Andre.
Pick him up, yeah.
And then he hurts his back. And then something the announcers kept alluding to is they kept saying Andre had never been beaten in 15 years in the WWF, which was kind of true. However, he had been beaten multiple times outside the company before. Okay. And also Hulk, this was not the first time Hulk, they kept trying to make it seem like this is the first time Hulk and Andre had ever met inside a ring.
Oh, gotcha.
That was also not true. They were much like maybe 7 years before, during Hogan's first run. So no, and then Andre just kind of plods along. He does the best that he can, and it's just like this slow plodding match of like Andre starts going after the back, and then he starts going after the ribs, and he does that butt bump in the turnbuckle.
He did do that, yeah. I wrote down butt slam.
Yeah, but in that corner, and then sometimes Hogan will kind of get out of it. And then we hit that bear hug.
We hit the bear hug, and this bear hug, it resonated with me. I was like, okay, I know where this is from now. Because do you remember we used to do stage combat?
Yes.
And Justin would always, every time, give me a bear hug, and I was like, what's a bear hug doing? And now I see it's to squeeze the life out of somebody.
Exactly. Well, thinking about your size and then thinking of Justin's size, him giving you a bear hug, I feel like it should be the other way.
Yeah, absolutely.
But they hit that bear hug, and it just feels like all the life goes out of the match. Like,
I wrote down boring match, to be completely honest with you.
So we'll get through the rest of the match, and then we'll start comparing the two. Well, Hogan keeps trying to get out of the bear hug. He can't get out of it. They somehow get out of the ring. I can't remember how, but they end up on the floor.
And Hulk, he rips up the mat to concrete or plywood that we're looking at. That's not concrete.
Yeah, I know. So before that happens, Hulk is up against a ring post. Andre goes to headbutt him and misses, and the camera cuts away immediately, and Andre goes into the post.
Yep.
So, and then Hogan, you can tell from the way it was shot, or not the way it was shot, but the way the setup was, that they were raised up to like just a little bit, like they were on some sort of a platform.
Yeah.
So, But hey, it could have been concrete.
It wasn't. It wasn't. It was definitely plywood. It sounded like plywood, and I could see wood pattern on it.
Yes. Hey, again,
Because the announcer was like, "Oh, he's gonna put him in suplex into the concrete," and I was like, "That's plywood."
who are you going to believe, your own eyes or the commentators? Stop with this fake news.
Which, you know, to be fair, like, everybody in that ring wouldn't be able to tell. So, like, if you're not like watching it on camera, everybody in that ring is like, "Oh, that's concrete. Oh no."
Yeah, so I also want to talk about this because Hogan and sometimes Andre's, but not because Andre didn't have to sell that much, but Hogan's like facial mannerisms and like the way he sold and was like, he's hurting me. Like, it looks ridiculous when you're watching it on screen, but like you have to think, like, they say play it big, so people in the cheap seat.
Yeah, play to the last row.
Yeah, exactly. So like that makes perfect sense. So like, you know, everybody in the cheap seats knew exactly what was going on in that match.
Yep.
So Hogan tries to pile drive Andre. He obviously misses, and Andre very nicely lifts Hogan over his head and drops him onto the concrete, Brian.
Yep, onto the concrete.
So then they go back into the ring. Hogan starts to clothesline Andre. Andre stumbles. Andre then eventually is taken off his feet for the first time in the entire match. And oh my God, what's going to happen? And then Andre gets up, gets into the ropes, kind of walks towards Hogan, and Hogan picks him up, and we have that big, huge moment of Hogan slammed Andre, which again had never happened ever in the history of the world. That was the first time ever that had happened, which is really not true. Yeah, so... But again, like, two seminal moments out of this show is that elbow drop, that shot of Randy giving the elbow drop to Ricky the Dragon Steamboat, that nice camera shot, and then there's this moment of him slamming Andre.
Okay.
He then goes for the big leg. 1, 2, 3. Hogan wins the match and beats Andre.
No.
So, yeah.
No.
Brian is upset of things that happened.
I am.
God, almost 38 years ago.
Yeah, it's fresh to me, and it's a new wound.
It's still real to me, damn it. So no, like these two matches. So Ricky and Macho Man, that match was voted by the Wrestling Observer newsletter as one of the very best match of 1987.
It's great,
and
I really liked it.
It is widely considered one of the, like, probably top 5, not just WrestleMania matches, but one of the best matches that's ever been performed ever. Okay. And if you talk to wrestlers from, like, where we watched in WrestleMania 2000, like the Jeff Hardys of the world and stuff like that, they talk about watching this match as a kid going, like, no one was doing what Macho, he was jumping off the top rope. And then you got Hulk Hogan and Andre the Giant, where it's like this slow bodybuilding, just sort of plodding along, like not huge moves and stuff like that. But as an 8-year-old kid, again, it's like, it's action figures just being.
I mean, everybody was going crazy.
Exactly. Like Hulk Hogan is like a huge phenomena at this point. He's like one of the biggest, like they talk about, he's like one of the biggest celebrities of the world at this point. He's as big as a movie star at this point.
Does he, because apparently he's the American, right? Does he become a heel?
Ooh, we shall see, Brian.
Interesting.
Yes, that's definitely it's.
I mean, because in life he might be considered a heel, but
definitely. Speaking at the Republican National Convention last
year, I had a hard time rooting for this guy.
Yeah, I know. He's such a. I say controversial, but like it's just so hard to root for him, just knowing who he is as a person, but knowing all the good things that he sort of did for the business at this point. Like he wasn't the best wrestler, but he was definitely, like, quote unquote, the biggest draw at the time and put money in the pockets of a lot of people at this point. But it's one of those conversations of like, when does the good or the bad start to outweigh each other?
Sure. Yeah.
So this match, also by the Wrestling Observer newsletter, was voted the Hogan Andre match was the worst match of 1987.
Was it? Okay.
Yeah. Which, going back and watching it, I've now watched it multiple times, and if you gun to my head, I picked Macho Man 100 times out of 100. But this match is not horrible.
Okay.
It's just when you compare the two, it's like
they're night and day. Truly night and day.
Exactly, and I think wrestling styles at this point were more closer to Hogan and Andre than they were Ricky and Macho Man.
So their physicality was kind of new to the world of wrestling.
That sort of pace
Yeah.
of going that fast and people of that size, because they were. I always feel bad because like you sort of compare people to Hulk Hogan. Like Hulk was huge at this point. Like he's like every bit of 6'8", 300 pounds, all that muscle and stuff like that. And even bigger guys, you put them next to him, and they look tiny by comparison. Like even Macho Man, who's not as tall as him, and eventually starts to get a little bit bigger, still looks smaller comparatively.
Wasn't Macho Man? Wasn't he in Spider-Man? Was he in Spider-Man?
Yeah, so
he was Bonesaw.
Yeah.
Bonesaw is ready.
So, for those of you watching, while we were watching this before we started hit record, Macho Man pops up for his promo, and I see Brian go like mouth the words, "Oh my god!" And then he's like, he starts nodding his head, and I'm like, I guarantee you, he's
it's
like
from Spider-Man.
Yeah, he recognizes him as Bonesaw, which is something people wanted Macho Man to come back as some kind of a Bonesaw character with the
Oh, that would have been amazing.
Yeah.
He's going to show up in Secret Wars, I know it.
I got you for 3 minutes. So any other thoughts before we wrap this up? Again, we had another wrestler in white tights. It seems like there's always some connection.
It honestly wasn't like you mentioned it that like he had some dirt on the back of his, but like it wasn't distracting. Like it wasn't distracting to me. Like he had pooped his pants or something.
Yeah, so it's just more so. No pun intended. We have some connective tissue throughout all these matches. So no, any final thoughts before we wrap this up?
WrestleMania 3. So, I guess this is going to jump into the next segment, though.
Kind of. We'll talk about it.
Okay, cool. No other thoughts for this segment then.
Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, that was WrestleMania 3. The next thing that we watched, this is our wrestling segment, is we watched Macho Man Randy Savage on the Arsenio Hall show. This happened in 1989, so 2 years later, right before WrestleMania 5. So we were at WrestleMania 3. WrestleMania 4 happens, and a lot of things happen in WrestleMania 5. I'm sure we'll get into it in a future episode, but I don't want to spoil it. Macho Man is now the champion as he walks out in his huge outfit.
It's like white camo with like these pink cowboy frills on it, with his championship belt around his waist,
and the bandana and the sunglasses, posing and sticking his tongue out. So
Dude is macho.
Yes. So he comes out and sits next to Morgan Fairchild, who doesn't know what to think.
Yeah, she was like, I have no idea what's happening right now.
Yeah, she's like laughing. Macho's trying to engage with her, and she's
truly, like this reminds me of like personalities today, though. Like he's in character, he's funny, like he's doing jokes and stuff, and it would remind me of like a John Cena and on like an Ellen show or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
so
it reminded me so heavily of like what interviews today are like with these personalities.
So like we'll get into it, but like this. People that describe Macho Man, this is how he wasn't speaking like in that huge yelly voice, but like the
like, is that his normal? That's not his normal voice. That's his stage voice.
It's a more
or not. Okay,
it's a more amped up version of how he normally speaks.
Okay,
but no, like this is part of the area where people still feel like they're trying to protect the business. They think wrestling is still real, so he has to be in character
all the time. That has to be exhausting,
or at least out in public, basically. Yeah. So, and then Arsenio just interviews him like he's a normal celebrity,
right?
And like this is something you go back and he
is not a normal celebrity.
Yeah, I know. So Arsenio was sort of known for this. If this is the last time. Excuse me. Macho Man is going to be on the show. He's on there multiple times. I'm sure we'll watch his Macho talking about depression.
Macho through the ages.
Yeah. But there's like one Arsenio Hall clip of him when one of the Friday the 13th movies comes out, and Jason comes out. Like the character Jason in the
Okay.
hockey match, and he tries to interview him, and he just doesn't say anything.
Oh my gosh, that's
Yeah,
amazing.
I'll send you the clip. It's actually pretty, but like he treats him like he's a normal guest and interacts with them and stuff like that. And Macho is like just he always tries to bring it back and promote the show.
Yeah.
One of my favorite moments though is the subtle move when he's like, "Oh, Morgan Fairchild, like don't get too don't get crazy on me," and then he sort of leans over and scooches a little bit off to get away from her.
Yep.
And she like stares at him like, "What are you doing?"
She was flabbergasted. She didn't know what to do.
Yeah, and then knowing what I know about Macho, he sort of fills time when he can't think of what he's going to say. He's like, "Ooh, yeah," like just like trying to get what he wants in his brain and like how he can sort of tie it back. Like, because I think there's a point where he's like, "Oh, you know about that, Morgan?" She's like, "I don't know the lady," and he goes, "Oh."
Like,
he repeats it. He's like, so you don't know the lady. Yeah. So, yeah, I guess. So no, they're promoting a match for WrestleMania 5 between Hulk Hogan and Macho Man Randy Savage.
Yeah,
and
okay.
they are apparently fighting over Miss Elizabeth. What do you think happened, Brian? Like,
divorce.
No.
I would say, so the heels have the managers apparently. So something happens with Hulk. He needs a manager, and he wants the best manager, and apparently Randy's the bad guy. So like he's trying to steal the bad guy's manager.
So I will say Macho, up until this point, so he goes on a sort of a path of becoming a hero.
He's
within
a redemption arc.
Exactly, and he eventually wins the championship, and then something happens between Miss Elizabeth, Macho, and Hulk. I won't say what, won't ruin it, because there's a lot of big story. It's like one of the bigger storylines.
Okay. Affair.
Yeah, it's always got to be sex, man.
It sells.
I mean, maybe you're right. So they go throughout, and my favorite too is like at the end of the promo, or not the promo, at the end of it, Macho just gets up and starts going through the crowd and starts posing for everybody, and people are just like clapping for him, and they're just playing his. Oh, we didn't talk about this. Did you notice what Macho Man Randy Savage's music, his theme music, was?
Yeah, it's the commencement address
Yes.
music, Pomp and Circumstance.
Okay, good. You got it. Yeah. So I knew I was a Macho Man fan before I ever graduated anything. And so when I finally hit.
So you went to graduation, you're like, we're walking out to Macho Man's music.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Woohoo. Like they play like the soft jazz version for Arsenio. It's like meh, 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 meh.
It's so good.
So no, what did you think? Macho Man on the Arsenio House Show, was it a little too over the top? Did you like it? Were you entertained?
I was entertained by it. It truly cemented him as a character in trying to do a normal thing, like interviewing.
So I showed you this just so like the Macho Man we saw in the ring is pretty much the Macho we saw outside of the ring as well. And I'll tell you two quick stories. One of my favorites is Hulk Hogan eventually buys in real life buys Macho Man a like a Ferrari that has like one of those trunks that opens from the front.
Okay,
it's supposed to be like where the engine is, and Macho Man at this point is wearing these big cowboy hats that are like custom made. They're thousands of dollars, and he has to travel with them and put them in these boxes. So Hulk buys him the car. He sees Macho 2 weeks later, and he notices he doesn't have the car. And he's like, "Hey, Macho, what happened to the car?" He's like, "The hats wouldn't fit." he took it back because he couldn't put his cowboy hats in the damn thing. And then there's also a story in which Macho Man gets bitten by a police dog at a Waffle House.
Amazing.
So Macho is with another wrestler at Waffle House. They are very hungry. They try ordering, and someone walks in that everybody knew. He didn't work at the restaurant, but he's like, "Hey, I just got married." And the waitress stops paying attention to Macho Man. Macho Man takes offense and turns to the guy and goes, "Who gives a F?" They eventually start fighting. The guy pulls a knife on Macho. Macho jumps over the counter, grabs another knife. At this point, the police are called. The original guy flees, and so now Macho is by himself trying to tell the police that doesn't happen. They try and arrest him, and then this is an eyewitness account. So eventually one of the cops pulled out pepper spray, but Savage ducked, and one of the other cops took it right in the eye.
Oh my gosh.
A large crowd formed outside as Randy Savage was now one-on-one with one of the cops who pulled his nightstick. Again, Savage, thinking quickly, grabbed the downed cop's nightstick to shield himself from the blows, and then the backup cop showed up. It was pandemonium. The second wave of cops brought their 75-pound German Shepherd police dog.
Holy
moly. Which they learned in the days following was one of the most aggressive dogs in the history of the Nashville Police Department. Savage still refused to comply, and they let that dog loose on him. Waffle House Savage will later admit that he made a big mistake, but claimed he got a kick in on the dog before it took a huge bite out of his buttocks.
Of course.
Yeah, and Savage was ultimately finally submitted and booked for a whole bunch of charges.
Oh my gosh. Is this a true story? Or
yes, that is a true story.
Oh my gosh!
There's a police report. Like Macho had a very interesting life. He was a former baseball player for this. He was drafted by the Cincinnati Reds. Didn't work out.
They
eventually
play out by me. I live next door to their spring training field.
Yes. So there's a good photo of him without the beard and stuff like that. He looks nothing like him.
Okay.
Eventually wrestles for his dad, makes it to WWF, and the rest, as they say, is history.
He wrestles for his dad? Is his dad?
Yeah, his dad was a promoter and a well-known wrestler way back in the day.
Okay.
Randy's real name is Randy Poffo. His dad's name is Angelo Poffo.
Okay.
And so they ran, they called it an outlaw promotion, which just basically means they didn't have permission to actually run the company within the territory they were in, and eventually are like sued into oblivion.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So, all right. So that was Macho Man on the Arsenio Hall Show. And we will now move into one of my favorite segments. Who's that wrestler?
Who's that wrestler?
And now comes the point in the show in which I show Brian a photo of a wrestler that he's never seen before and get him to figure out who's that wrestler. So for those of you at home, the photo that we're looking at, we are an audio podcast. It is a man in a cap and gown, a graduate. He has a nice long hair with a nice beard, holding his finger up in the air with a nice sash, nice red sort of robe with the graduate hat. Brian, who is this wrestler?
All right, just this is wrestling without context, but with context of what we just watched. Is this Macho Man Randy Savage?
You're close.
Okay, this is one of them.
You're on the right track. You're definitely you're in the right town.
I'm in the right town?
Yes.
Is this Hulk Hogan?
But it's not Macho Man Randy Savage. But they do look similar, don't they?
Yeah.
Why would that be?
Because it's Randy Popov? What was his real name? Is this Hulk Hogan?
No, it is definitely not Hulk Hogan. He definitely has a title. Like he's not known as like so and so. It's like, what do you think this guy's title, like his wrestler name is?
Jerry Jimothy. I don't know.
You were kind of on the right track with The Graduate. What does this person look?
Graduate.
Does
the
this
professor.
person?
Is he the professor?
You're getting closer. He does look smart, doesn't he?
He's the genius.
Yes.
The
oh my God,
genius.
Brian, you got it.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
So
yeah,
I
need a little more. I need a little more leading, apparently.
Yeah. So this is the genius, and his real name is Lanny Poffo. This is Randy Macho Man Savage's brother.
Oh, Poffo. Okay.
Yeah, so you were on the right track when you thought that. So Lanny is also a professional wrestler. This is when he eventually becomes the genius. But when he started in the WWE,
he was the dummy. I like the graduation.
So I'll explain a little bit. He wasn't a big star like his brother, but eventually he, according to his Wikipedia, built a niche for himself as a babyface, a hero. In his first role, he was leaping Lanny Poffo.
Ooh.
He would bring frisbees to the ring, read a short poem written on one of them that he himself had penned, and then throw the frisbees into the crowd. Each poem typically ridiculed the heel who was about to wrestle or built heat in favor of the face with whom the heel was feuding at the time.
This is a man of culture over here.
Yes, so he is actually very smart. He has since passed away, but eventually becomes a motivational speaker. But he eventually goes into this gimmick of the genius, where he takes those poems and then starts ridiculing everybody around him because they're both so stupid.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
Do you have one of his poems?
Let's see if I can find one. I found one. This is about the British Bulldogs, which were a tag team at the time.
Okay.
As Winston Churchill said it, still remembered through the years, the only thing I promise you is blood, sweat, and tears. The British spirit that beat Hitler is still alive today. Just watch the British Bulldogs wrestle in the USA. Davy Boy and Dynamite, now there's a winning hand. They double up to conquer all opponents in the land. Their heads are on their shoulders because they have a daddy necks. Their muscles are like armor. They don't even have to flex. And when the bell has sounded, just watch the Bulldogs go. These muscles they've been flashing aren't just for show. They're England's gift to wrestling, and the fans just dig it all the way they did for Ringo and George and John and Paul.
Oh, that's so good.
All right, so that was the genius, Lanny Poffo.
Nice.
All right, that'll wrap things up for us on Wrestling Without Context podcast. Thank you for joining us. As we talked about Wrestlemania 3, please follow us on all forms of social media. We are at Wrestling Without Context on Twitter. We are also on YouTube, where this podcast is posted, and also find this podcast on all your favorite podcast platforms. Spotify, we are on iHeartRadio, ones I don't even know about. So if there's a platform out there, we're on it. So please join us next week as we take a little bit of a detour and we discuss and watch Kaiju Big Battle.
Woo!
Yes, this is something that Brian thought up and brought to me himself. So we are. Brian is now driving the bus or flying the plane, shall we say? So
I have some wrestling thoughts now.
Yeah, I know exactly. I've created a monster. He's alive. He's alive. All right. Anything before we leave today, Brian?
Nothing else from me. Everyone have a happy Easter. We're recording the night before Easter. I will be up in the sky tomorrow.
Ooh. Say hi to Jesus for us as he I think he left the cave already.
Yeah, he'll be up there. He'll be up there with the sun.
Yeah, just flying over. Isn't this great to be alive? All right, so that'll do us here from Wrestling Without Context. Please join us next time, and we will see you in 2 weeks.
Brian doesn't know about suplex slams. He thinks a wrist lock is a boy band. Can't tell a moonsault from a flying knee. He's clueless about the ring's legacy. He called a steel cage a fancy shed. Said lucha masks are hats for your head. He thinks the Undertaker's just a grave guy. This poor dude's living a wrestling lie. Brian doesn't know the ropes or the show. Tag teams and belts are all Greek to his soul. Every finisher he calls a we spin move. Brian doesn't know he's got nothing to prove. Miss Wrestlemania 4 and in class, confused a pile driver with a chair to crash. He thought kayfabe was a type of pie. Stop pretending, kid, we all sigh.